Like every great story of success, Valley Queen cheese had humble beginnings. The story begins in two small villages in Switzerland, Roggwil and Urnasch, where Alfred Gonzenbach and Alfred Neff grew up. Although they grew up just 20 miles away from one another, the two Alfreds never met. Until 4,000 miles away in Wisconsin, they made each other's acquaintance at a cheese company. The two Alfreds became business partners. But like Switzerland, Wisconsin already had quite a few cheesemakers. Alfred Gonzenbach was on his way to Montana to establish a new location for their company when he stopped in Milbank, South Dakota for gas. Valley Queen Cheese officially began operations on March 1st, 1929. The one milk can brought in that day was accidentally spilled down a drain. But milk supplies increased steadily, and the Alfreds, who went by Gonzi and Shorty, went to work making cheese the old-fashioned way.
You know, just like so many of our other industries in our country, I mean, the manual labor has slowly, gradually disappeared, and it's been mechanized and automated. But the basic recipe is the same. It's just being done in a different way and in larger quantities. And, you know, back then they'd make Longhorns 12, 13 pounds, you know. Now we make 700-pound boxes of cheese, you know.
The 1940s and 1950s brought expansion, improvements, mechanization. And in the late 50s, Max Gonzenbach and Rudy Neff, the second generation, joined the family business.
Well, I came back in the fall of '57 after spending a couple of years in the Army. It was a pretty well manual operation. There might have been 6, 8, 10 employees. And I just started working. I mean, and slowly migrated into maybe doing a little bit of office work, a little bit of bookkeeping, and then Max came on a couple of years later. But the milk supply then was kind of growing, and we had to make some changes. And we slowly did, and we expanded the operation quite a bit then in that early 60s area.
I remember sitting down with the fathers, and they said, boys, he said, we are going to have to make some changes here, equipment-wise, and let's invest some dollars. And he said, you know, at our age, we're not too interested in doing that anymore, but if you two want to continue this business on, we'll help you at the bank. It was not easy to amass $300,000. Both banks in town participated.
Within 3, 4, 5 years, we were out of debt and never looked back at that, I mean, and at all times trying to be more efficient, you know, doing it with a little less labor, more machines than men, you know. That was a degree of mechanization and changing and upgrading the operation.
The truly modern era began in the early 80s. Important updates were made, experts were hired, and productivity skyrocketed. The company received buyout offers, but decided to stay put, making a long-term commitment to the farmers, workers, and community of Milbank.
All the way along, we were always very innovative. We were never behind the curve. So we had a reputation out here that I think was pretty good, you know, and we were leaders in the industry, and people respected us, and they came out and we shared information with some of our friends in the business and vice versa, you know, and it worked out very well.
Our main competition was that of the cooperatives. We were a privately held firm. We are proud of it and would like to see the business continue as such. And there are not that many private operations left anymore. One of the goals I think that we set looking ahead was to be the premier private cheese operation in the country. It's a lofty goal.
Valley Queen's impact on our department is deep and it's wide, and it goes back many, many years. Valley Queen has been supporting a scholarship for our students for well over 50 years. Another really big impact has been the Alfred Chair. The Alfred Endowed Chair was the first endowed chair at South Dakota State University. You know, Max and Rudy are just unique individuals. I came to South Dakota State in 1986, and I'm not from around here. Coming to South Dakota was not in my strategic plan for life. I remember for the first time shaking Max's hand, And it was so symbolic. It was as if he has said, "Welcome. How can I help?" That's what was in the handshake, which I still do remember. And then I met Rudy in a similar manner. They welcomed me into their organization. You see, here is what we do. Here is why what you do is meaningful. Because if you go around the dairy industry in this country, everybody know them. Everybody know Max and Rudy. They're icons in the industry. And yet, when I talk to them, or when anybody talks to them, it's as if you are at home. Valley Queen is what it is because of the people. But I can tell you, Valley Queen is what it is because of them.
I first met Rudy when I was a freshman at SDSU. It was the spring semester, and it was at the scholarship banquet that the Dairy Science Department was holding. And I received the Valley Queen Scholarship that year, and Rudy actually presented it. That scholarship was so instrumental in my career. It allowed me to be done with my undergraduate degree and not have a huge student loan debt that I needed to deal with, and it was an opportunity to go to graduate school. So because of those scholarships, it sent me on a path to continued education that ended up with a master's and a PhD. Not only that scholarship that I got as an undergraduate, it was the opportunity to actually work back at South Dakota State because of an endowed professorship because of Max and Rudy. As I started that professorship, that's when I got to know Max a lot better. Max really had a vision for that professorship where he wanted it to be a role that serves the dairy industry as a whole. So he didn't just want that position to help Valley Queen, he wanted it to help the dairy industry in general, and especially the whole area of South Dakota. Max and Rudy are such unique individuals, and they have personality traits that are similar, and then they have personality traits that are so different from each other. When you meet Rudy, you'll understand quickly he's a very quick thinker, very business oriented, understands everything about cheese. And then you meet Max, and Max is very thoughtful and patient. You just call him a kind. He's the grandpa that everybody wants, but that combination of his patience and thoughtfulness and Rudy's quick thinking just melded together beautifully.
Rudy and Max have set a great example for us for many years, especially when it comes to philanthropy. Their commitment to charitable giving and making our community, state, and industry stronger continues to live on in our core values and through the Valley Queen Charitable Foundation. On behalf of Rudy and Max, the Neff and Gonzenbach families, and Valley Queen, I want to say thank you. We are truly honored to receive this award from the South Dakota State University Foundation. Thank you, President Dunn. Honestly, this is absolutely awesome. I can't wait for Rudy and Max to see it. I can't wait to share it with our team. I know how much it means to them, so thank you so much for the recognition. Greatly appreciated.